Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. Today we're going to be talking about the Ohio father who gunned down his 3 children, ages 3, 4, and 7. He was arrested on the same day that the situation took place. He has already had 2 court appearances. The first court appearance was done the day after he was arrested, the day after the situation took place. He had another court hearing yesterday, I think it was. Oh no, it was actually the 21st, I think. I think it was Wednesday, maybe. That was his arraignment. Now, at his first initial hearing, he actually was given a bond of $20 million. Not many details came out about what took place. Like, we know that he shot the boys. We know some of the details, but we don't know many details. We know that he was married to his wife. They presume her name to be Laura. They think they know the boys' names. They know their ages. But what they are alleging happened is that his wife Laura was going to leave him, and that they have been having some problems for some time. And there was this discussion, of them getting a divorce. So he planned this out to kill the boys, and possibly her too. I don't really know. She was shot, but from my understanding, that was her trying to fight him because she was holding the 3-year-old after he shot the 7 and 4-year-old. She was holding the 3-year-old, and he ripped the 3-year-old from her arms, and she did end up getting shot in the hand. So his bond was initially set at $20 million. They had his arraignment earlier this week, where he was it was switched from a $20 million bond to no bond, and more details come out. So we're going to watch some of that arraignment. The arraignment took like almost 40 minutes. So we're not going to watch the whole arraignment. I will go over what took place at the arraignment, and then we're going to watch what I think is probably the most important part of the arraignment. Let's go ahead and roll the intro, and we will get right into it. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and let's get into it. I was trying to hurry up and do a few things while that was happening, while the intro was running. Okay, so throughout the arraignment, the first thing that took place is they had the clerk sworn in, just the lady that does types up everything they was saying, from my understanding. They had her sworn in. They talked about the fact that he qualified for representation through the state because I guess he can't afford his own attorney. So he was basically assigned 2 attorneys, from my understanding. The judge signed off on Chad's court-appointed attorneys. Let's see. He then asked if Chad had seen a copy of the indictment, to which his attorney said yes, that he had seen a copy of the indictment, and they had went over the indictment with him. And then after that, the judge had the prosecution's office go through each and every charge and the possible punishment, so Chad and his counsel would understand what he was up against. So that's essentially what the first little while was about. Now we're going to watch some of the parts that I think is the most important. They figure out scheduling and stuff as well. But right here where we're going to pick it up is where the prosecution is making the court understand what Mr. Chad Doerman did. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start right here. You guys let me know if you can hear it or if you can't hear it.
The court needs to have some understanding of the facts. What we have here is the planned slaughter of 3 little boys, ages 7, 4, and 3. The first one shot was a 4-year-old, shot in the house 2 times, then sustained 2 bullet wounds to the head, causing his death. The second child shot was a 7-year-old who fled the residence, ran some 300 feet from the residence, and was gunned down from behind by the defendant. We then approached this little boy who was injured incapacitated, alive, shot him in the head twice from close distance. There were powder burns on the boy's head. Then he went after the 3-year-old. There was a struggle with the mother. He ripped the child from the mother's arms, put a bullet in his head. Close range, powder burns on the 3-year-old boy's head. Your Honor, those facts are important for the court to know in terms of this being a capital case. We find, Your Honor, my conclusion is that proof is evident and the presumption is great that he be held without bail.
All right. Thank you. Defense has nothing to add.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, the court's going to order based upon Article 1 of the Ohio Constitution, Section 9. It's been amended on November 8th of 2022. The bond in this case be no bail at the present time. For the court's own edification, Mr. Doerman, can you please tell me how old you are?
32.
And what's your date of birth?
3191.
And are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes.
All right. At this point then, Mr. Haynes or Mr. Myers, is there anything else that you want the court to consider?
You know, I think just on the technical front, we would waive the reading of the indictment. We discussed that
Thank
with
you.
Mr. Doerman at length yesterday.
Thank you. Would the defense have any issue, I'm just asking, waiving time till the next hearing?
No, you're
I am confused that question right there about the waiting time for next year because we're like mid 23. So why are they already talking about pushing it back? I don't know, but that was something that caught me off guard. And two, when they were reading what he did, when the prosecution was stating he ripped the 3-year-old out of the mother's arms, gunned him down, that these kids had powder burn marks on their head. You know, he showed no emotion during this.
Yeah.
All right.
So right here, they're just signing off on documents stating that these 2 men will represent him. The judge has already signed off on it, so now he's got to sign off on it. Which wasn't really of any importance, but it shows close-ups on him, so that's why I put it in here. No.
Anything the state can think of?
No, Your Honor.
Any questions, Mr. Doerman?
No, you're right.
All right. Court's in recess for this purpose.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Yeah, this man, in my opinion, does seem pure evil. I mean, in court the other day, the day after everything took place, he showed emotion. Seemed like it. Almost, I don't know if he was like trying to force the tears or what it was, but there was emotion there. You know what I'm saying? Today, while they are giving like like talking about what happened, saying he chased one of the boys, the 4-year-old took off running, ran about 300 feet before he was gunned down. And then not only that, but this young boy was shot from behind. And then his very own father walks up to him. He's not dead. He's still alive, but he's injured. His dad walks up to him, sees that he's still alive, and proceeds to shoot him again, killing him. This is like this is a demon, you guys. This dude is like a freaking demon. Either way, he is being held without bond. He was indicted on 21 counts, including 9 counts of aggravated murder. So Chad is 32 years old. He has been accused of killing his 3 sons, Clayton, Hunter, and Chase, ages 3, 4, and 7, at their home on Laurel Lindell Road in Monroe Township last week. During his arraignment, he pled not guilty, which is, I mean, they say this is standard during the proceedings, but he's already signed a confession. So I'm kind of, from what I know, like, you can plead not guilty and most people do it. But he's already confessed, so why not just plead guilty and move things along? I don't know. He's probably on antipsychotics. Maybe so. I don't know. Like, I know my mom works at a jail, and I know they do give, like medication and stuff. But from the time that this just happened last week, do you think he would have already been like seen by a doctor, prescribed something, and on something? I mean, maybe so. Maybe that is why he seems just very nonchalant. He is out of the turtle suit. He's not wearing the turtle suit. Let's see. So he was indicted on 21 counts, 9 counts of aggravated murder, 8 counts of kidnapping, and 4 counts of felonious assault. The prosecutor revealed disturbing details about the accusations in the case against Chad, saying, what we have here is a planned slaughter of 3 little boys. He said Hunter, the 4-year-old, was shot first inside the house. The second child, who is 7 years old, thank you, he fled the residence and ran. I'm gonna get my husband one day for doing that. I tell him all the time, don't come in if I'm streaming, because the door is loud. Do you guys hear the door when it opens and shuts? Okay, so the 4-year-old was shot first inside the house. The second child, who was 7, fled. I think a while ago I got that reversed. The 7-year-old fled the residence, ran about 300 feet from the residence, was gunned down by his dad. He did not die. The dad walked up on him, shot him again. He then went back into the house where the mom had the 3-year-old. There was a struggle. He ripped the child from the mother's arms. So they asked that he would be held without bond. The defense attorney did not argue. They did not argue for him to be set a bond. The judge granted that request. The next court date is set for July 5th at 11 a.m. for a pretrial hearing. And the prosecutor said, my goal is to have this man executed for slaughtering these 3 young boys. It is an incomprehensible act of horror that he perpetuated on this family. It is an incomprehensible act of horror that he perpetuated on this family. So again, sorry, I wrote that twice. So again, that is my most important focus right now, to ensure that they are protected, they are safe. And my hope and wish and prayer is that someday they will be able to find peace. The boy's mother was found outside the home with a non-life-threatening gunshot wound to the hand. The boy's older sister escaped. Thank you so much, Zuna. This is so horrendous and despicable. It really is. Yeah, I think he shot. Thank you, FBI Black SUV. I haven't seen you in a minute. How you been doing? Yeah, I guess during the struggle of trying to get the 3-year-old, he shot the mom in the hand. I do, from my understanding, there is a GoFundMe for the mom. I just saw that right before I got on, though. So I'm going to look into that a little bit. Wow, okay. Communities are reaching out. I'm going to share this with you guys, and we'll read it together. It literally took the prosecution. Yeah, it literally took the prosecution like 25 minutes almost, it seemed like, to read out all of the charges. I was going to play all of it, but it was just the same thing, like over and over and over. You know what I'm saying? Like committing the act of violence in the presence of a minor, and this charge comes with this, and the punishment. The punishment for most is the death penalty or life in jail with the possibility of parole after 20, 25 to 30 years. Is he charged with any charges for shooting the mom or endangering the life of the 16-year-old? Well, he's facing 21 charges. I would imagine. Let's see again exactly what all they are. Let's see. Okay, 9 counts of aggravated murder, 8 counts of kidnapping. 8. 4 counts of felonious assault, which would maybe be him shooting the mom, maybe. I was thinking he would get something like attempted murder charge for her, but some of these charges do come with the possibility of parole, but if he's found guilty, I don't think that's a because they had to go through each individual charge. So what you watched, if you saw it, you saw the prosecutor say count 1 of aggravated murder, in the first degree, the possible penalty for that charge alone, just on 1 count, is the death penalty or the possibility of parole after 25 years in prison, along with a fine. I mean, literally, if you were to total up the fines that he could face, along with all the years that he could face, I mean, all of these charges together, if he's found guilty, he'll never get out of prison. He'll more than likely receive the death penalty if they go for that. But most of these charges, you can get the death penalty for. I have not read anything like that, Zen. Those that live around here, including some pretty credible. I can say the video footage that I saw, it showed the first 2 cops getting there, and I don't think EMS was there yet. I think they were the first on the scene. So, because it started, the mom does call 911. She calls 911. The sister takes off. The sister runs into somebody that's driving through, and she stops them. There was multiple calls, but I think the first people that made it to the scene was 2 police officers. And by the time they got there, both boys appeared to be already like, oh, that could be true. It was supposed to be a firefighter from across the street. That could be true. I don't know nothing about that. I've heard nothing about that. But I do know there is a fire station across from their house, and that's where the 16-year-old went. She went over there, told them what was happening. She had already made contact with somebody driving down the street. They had already called the cops. The people in the fire station called the cops as well, and they were instructed to get back into the fire station because nobody knew if he was going to go on like a, killing the neighborhood spree. So everybody was instructed, besides the police and like EMS, to like go inside. What was that? I don't know what just happened. This is so weird. Communities are reaching out to extend their support for a Claremont County family in the wake of an unimaginable tragedy. On Thursday afternoon, police say 32-year-old Chad Doerman lined up his 3 young sons, ages 3, 4, and 7, and executed them with a rifle. The boy's stepsister managed to run. I think she was their half sister, not their stepsister. She was his stepdaughter. Managed to run for help. The mother called 911 and was shot in the hand, apparently trying to grab the gun to protect her kids. First responders performed life-saving measures to all 3 boys, but they died from their injuries on the scene. Mother was treated at the hospital. Since the murders, numerous services have been held in honor of the young victims, including a candlelight vigil at the elementary school the oldest boy attended. A GoFundMe campaign has been launched by the boy's aunt to help cover the cost of their funeral. As of Sunday, nearly $160,000 has been raised, 8 times higher than the initial goal. The page reads, "Nothing will make this better. It will never be okay. But please, if you can find it in your heart to help relieve the financial burden of this tragedy, please donate. No one should have to go through this." So he was initially set a bond of $20 million, but now he has no bond. So this is a link, I guess, to it. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Oh, you guys can't see that. Let me share with you guys the GoFundMe. Let's read it. The girl played in her baseball tournament because that is the way she wanted to memorize her brothers because they loved and played ball too. Oh. Okay, so this is the GoFundMe. Help my sister bury her children. It's raised $261,381 of a $20,000 goal. And let me tell you guys, a $20,000 goal to bury 3 kids is nothing. Honestly. I mean, I think my grandma's funeral cost over $20,000 and it was like bare minimum. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there wasn't a lot of life insurance on her. So like, and I think it was like maybe it was like 17,000. So it says, my sister lost her 3 amazing babies yesterday. Nothing will make this better. It will never be okay. But please, if you could find it in your heart to relieve the financial burden of this tragedy, please donate. No one should have to go through this. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who's already donated, those who continue to donate, and those who will help us in the future. The loss is unimaginable. We're choosing to remember the boys for the wonderful babies they are. I encourage people to watch this segment and know they were the happiest of souls. In regards to your amazing generosity, these funds will be used for the boys' end of life celebration, from where they will continue to support my sister and my niece in the struggles they will be facing forward in a world without their tiny shadows. All funds will be transferred into my name to be used for funeral expenses, trauma therapy, and picking up the pieces from this tragedy. I will be directed by my sister on how to use these donations until she is mentally able to take over. Let's see where this link takes us.
Much. Remembering 3 young brothers who were killed in that horrific crime in Claremont County last Thursday.
The Doerman boys are now being remembered for their energy, their goofiness, and their laughter. WLWT News 5's Karen Johnson live for us in Batavia with their story tonight. Hi, Karen.
I'm not sure, Yvette. I'm not sure about that at all. I have no idea. I haven't heard anything about that.
Well, good evening, Cherie. I'm here live outside the Claremont County Jail because this is where the boy's father, Chad Doerman, is being held on a $20 million bond. He is charged with murdering his 3 sons, but family members have asked that we share photos and stories of the boys and show who they were as children, as they were so much more than just this tragedy. They were a pack. At 3, 4, and 7 years old, the Doerman boys loved being little kids together.
I have to point out how beautiful they are. And just so innocent. Look at these 3 little boys. Completely innocent. Like you can still see the innocence all over their face, you know?
Together. They sometimes walked hand in hand, whether down to the water to fish or to catch a worm. They were full of giggles, and their laughter was contagious. On the baseball diamond, the oldest was a feisty left-hander, but also a team player.
I was just with him, less than a day before, on the field, having a great time, encouraging his teammates.
Something coaches say he did often, like when one recently struck out.
The 7-year-old came up to him at the game and during the game and said, it's okay, buddy. I struck out too. It's no big deal. We all do it. And that's just the kind of kid he was.
New Richmond coaches say at 4 years old, the middle guy was a gifted T-ball player.
I would often be the one throwing to him because it's still coach pitch. And just the seriousness of his eyes, like he would nod, I'm ready to go. Let's go.
The boys' aunt said they're beautiful and deserve to be proudly displayed. They loved fiercely and with their entire hearts. They need to be seen for the blessings they were, the happy lives they lived. They're perfect baby boys. And as for the investigation, I
think this is one of those things where you see this. And one of the neighbors spoke about how there was constant yelling. The husband was always yelling at the wife, yelling at the children. I think this is one of those situations where if you are a woman in a relationship, an abusive relationship, and you have children, this should be like eye-opening, like to get out. Queen Olive Ruth Ann says they could be my grandsons with that blonde hair, blue eyes. They look like a couple of my grandkids. Honestly, they look like my kids. Like I have 2 kids that are dark complected, dark hair, because their dad is dark complected, dark hair, and then the rest of my kids, like literally, Eli and Bobby look just like that when they were that age. Now they're older, but I mean, literally, I could show you guys pictures of them and blonde hair, blue eyes, very light complected. This is, I don't know. I hope, you know how I think about, maybe I shouldn't say this, but when I see this story and you hear about how this man was clearly abusive to this family, what went on in that house that those children were subjected to, the yelling, the screaming, God knows what else. It makes me think of Janelle Eason, you know? I think this should be one of those things, though, to women who live with a man that yells at them and they know, in their mind, they know, like, I should not deal with this. I should not have my kids around this. This woman will live the rest of her life just devastated from the loss that she's going to deal with due to this monster. This man is literally a monster. And I don't want to sound like I'm blaming her at all, because I'm sure in no way did she ever think that even dealing with what she dealt with, him being mean and yelling at her and all that he was, according to the neighbor, I'm sure she never, ever would have imagined that he would take it this far. I know the reports say the woman driving down the street's call came in 30 minutes after the mom's initial call. Ellie hadn't arrived on the scene. If correct, that seems a little long as far as response time. And it does depend where they live. I don't know how far in the country they might live. I know on the 911 call that I watched, the body cam footage that I watched, it took the cop a minute to get there. And you could hear his car like revving up. Like you could hear him like, you know what I'm saying? Like they were like constantly over the radio saying, this is, a woman calling in saying that she just encountered a 16-year-old teenager running across the street saying her stepdad's killing everybody. And you could hear him like, like taking off. Let me see. I think I cut that out of my body cam footage though. I know where we used to live, where we used to live back in the day, it would take the cops a minute to get there. There's a fire station across the street. Surely the police station isn't far. I'm trying to think. Where my sisters live right now, Flossie. I know Flossie, my other sister Stephanie. The road that they live off of has a fire station right at the end of it. But the nearest like legit fire station is like 35, 40 minutes away from them. Like each town has its own little like fire station, but it might not have like a legit like police station. You know what I'm saying? Like where my sisters live, they don't even have like cops in their town because it's so small. They have a fire station in their town. They have no red lights in their town. They have one gas station in their town. I'm trying to think. The nearest like small police station would be about 15 minutes up the road, but it's a small one because that town is a little bit bigger. They have one gas station, one bank, and a park. But the biggest, the nearest like legit fire station is like maybe like 40 minutes away or like 35, 40 minutes away. Just like Chris Watt says his babies haunt him. That is what I wish for too. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like is he like they don't live that far out. Laura Lindell. Yeah, I feel like The lady traveling was trying to get info from the teenager before she called. Let's see if we can find this. Because that would be wild for it to take the police over 30 minutes to get there if they didn't live, like, in the boondocks. Like, why? This is it right here. Only a quick 30 minutes to downtown. So it's about 30 minutes from downtown. That might be it. Let me see. I think that is because I think he was sitting on the steps right over here. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I removed that part of the body cam footage from my video just because it was just a bunch of driving and well, no, maybe I didn't. I actually do think I did leave. No, I didn't. I didn't leave some. You could hear it. You could hear them like speeding up and this starts when they got there too. Trying to find. Okay, here it is. It was Zuna. I couldn't remember.
Negative. Sounds like we're getting another call from someone in the area. Right.
Go ahead.
Getting a call now from Misty advising that her grandfather told her that a female said that her grandfather was killing everyone in the house and that the female went to the fire station. Right.
Go ahead.
It looks like by the
male
trees.
actively shooting at the firehouse. Based on 99.
It looks like by the trees it's going fast.
Robert 63, how many houses down from the firehouse is this?
You're clear.
Looks like he's going pretty fast. I don't know why it took him so long.
Supervisors ahead of this.
Yes, sir. 63, what's your ETA?
Yeah, the dispatch lady kind of got it messed up. She meant stepfather. She was like, the girl said that her grandfather was going around, and then she goes, her stepfather was going around killing everybody. But when it started here, she says we got a second call coming through. So he was already on his way when he turned his body cam on. But it seems like he's going pretty fast. If it did take him 30 minutes to get there, then I don't know. I would wonder why. Either way, he's being held on no bond, you guys, which is rightfully so. He should not receive a bond. I'm very curious to see if they will release the interrogation videos. Very curious as to what they're going to have to say or what he says in them, considering he's pleading not guilty now after signing a confession. Happy shopping, Sherry. I don't know if this is common that you sign a confession and then you plead not guilty at your arraignment. I don't know if that's something that is common. I'm not really sure. Yeah, it's really like something just flips inside of them. Like, I think it's like demonic. I don't know. Like, it makes me wonder if something was going on. Was he involved with somebody else? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, remember the police officer has to be careful also while driving. He was going pretty fast. My father was a police officer. That's why I can never be a police officer. I'm terrified of going fast. But anyways, we're going to keep up with this case, you guys. Their next court date is the 5th of July, I think they said. So we're going to keep up with it. More stuff comes out. I'll let you guys know. As details comes out, it's more and more heartbreaking to know that like a child tried to get away. One child was ripped out of his mother's arms, even at 3 years old. This child had some understanding that something was not right. You know what I'm saying? Saw his 4-year-old brother shot, his best friend. These boys were best friends. I don't know, Nat. But you guys leave your thoughts in the comment section below. We're going to continue to keep up with this. I'm going to be live in a little while over on Elle Bee channel. So you guys join me over there later. It'll probably be about an hour or so. I'll post in Discord, I'll post on Twitter, and I'll post over on my Facebook page. So you guys join me over there later. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.